Thanks, Matt. Joined by Bucknuts.com Steve Helwagen. Virginia Tech had been a program that over the past couple of years had really struggled quite a bit. They'd fallen off from some of those Beamer ball principles that they had become famous for in the late 90s and early 2000s. Those principles seemed to be reinvigorated here at the Horseshoe last night. The kicking game, Virginia Tech was excellent, and not only in the punting and kicking game, but also in coverage and then defensively. Boy, they smothered Ohio State. They sacked the quarterback 7 times.
Yeah, Jared, people forget that Virginia Tech was probably the best program in the ACC until Florida State reemerged a year or two ago, just 15-11 the last 2 years. Well, after a win at Ohio State Saturday night, they're back in the national picture again, and they did it in a vintage Virginia Tech style with their defense and their special teams. Certainly their quarterback, Michael Brewer, he played an outstanding game, but they got after Ohio State defensively. Did not allow the Buckeyes to establish the run, sacked J.T. Barrett 7 times, also had forced 3 interceptions by Barrett, and really in the final analysis what this comes down to is Ohio State was relying way too much on J.T. Barrett. He had all but 28 of their 327 yards total offense. That's just too much reliance on a redshirt freshman.
The obvious takeaway as you're an Ohio State opinion, the obvious takeaway when you're looking at what Ohio State did not get done last night, the offensive line, just gaping holes, it seemed, for Virginia Tech. Urban Meyer in his post-game news conference mentioned that Tech was playing zero coverage, meaning they had an extra man or sometimes 2 men unaccounted for, unblocked in the interior of the Ohio State offensive line. They just couldn't get a hat on everybody, I guess.
Yeah, Virginia Tech's defensive coordinator, Bud Foster, he's kind of a legend, really, when it comes right down to it with the game plans he's cooked up to beat the great teams Virginia Tech's played over these many years. And that came to the forefront again. They dared Ohio State to throw the ball deep. The Buckeyes hit a couple of deep passes, one to Devin Smith, obviously. But again, Ohio State was unable to establish the run, unable to pass protect in key moments. Even in the final last-ditch drive, when they were only down 7 points, Barrett would scramble for 20 yards and then take a 12-yard sack. Then he would hit Corey Smith for 24 yards, and he'd take an 8-yard sack. It was 2 steps forward, 3 steps back all night long for Ohio State.
Obviously, Matt, the Buckeye offense couldn't make enough plays. The defense couldn't make enough plays. The signs of a young football team. Talent certainly there, made plays, they shined at times, but not consistent enough to get the job done against what appears to be a very good football team. But they are the first unranked non-conference opponent to come to Ohio State and beat the Buckeyes since 1982. Let's go back to you. All right, Matt, thanks. With Bucknuts.com, Steve Helwagen. In terms of a conference alignment kind of a day for Ohio State and the Big Ten in general, boy, it was bad. 8-5 doesn't sound awful, but when you consider the big 3 in this conference, Ohio State and Michigan State, all lost marquee games and all lost them in fairly convincing fashion. This is probably the closest matchup of the 3 here at Ohio Stadium. But the ACC went 11-0 on the same day. It just, in terms of the Big Ten top to bottom, things aren't looking good.
Yeah, nightmare day, I think, for the Big Ten from the national perspective, and just a few more weeks of non-conference play left. I mean, you look at Ohio State, they still play Kent State and Cincinnati before they open up Big Ten play. Not a lot of opportunities there to impress national pollsters. But the thing is, the Big Ten Conference, this is not a new thing, I think, for the Big Ten to be looking up at the SEC, the ACC, and some of these other conferences. They haven't only had the one national championship team, Ohio State, in 2002, since 1997. So I think what it comes down to say is the Big Ten race is still pretty much wide open. The winner of the Big Ten championship will play in a major bowl, possibly the Orange Bowl, maybe the Peach Bowl, and perhaps that is the ceiling for the Big Ten this upcoming season.
The Buckeyes had won 25 straight regular season games before last night. So, Steve, where does Ohio State go from here? We asked some of their seniors following the game about helping their younger players, and many of them are playing a lot right now, helping them deal with and move on. But it's really nobody on the team has a lot of experience with that.
Yeah, it's a young team. It's even more an inexperienced team. Right. You talk about J.T. Barrett has now stepped to the forefront as the quarterback. He's only played 2 collegiate games, and a lot has been put on his head to lead this program, and that's unfair, I think, in a lot of respects for him. But that's just the way of the world right now at Ohio State. They need those freshmen, those sophomores, to step up and make plays. Von Bell in this game had a great interception. Eli Apple, same way. We saw good things out of Darren Lee, some good things out of a number of players on this team. But again, enough mistakes, enough drops, enough turnovers, enough missed assignments. Plenty to work on for Ohio State to get back to respectability before the Big Ten starts.
And, Matt, the crazy element from last night in the Big Ten Conference, that was the first night that Michigan, Michigan State, and Ohio State have all lost on the same day since 1988. Let's go back to you.